More and more Asian and Pacific Islander people are coming out as lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. This means that more Asian and Pacific Islander families are confronting the reality of their children's alternative sexual orientation. While API gay organizations, support groups, and health and social service projects now exist in every major city across the U.S., support for their families is much harder to find. Grappling with homophobia and transphobia can be particularly difficult where tight-knit relationships and self-reliant traditions keep private matters within the family. Here are some stories of how some Asian and Pacific Islander families have met this challenge.
I did hear about what homosexuality is, but it's all negative. Everything related to homosexuality is just people are saying bad things about them, and they are not treated well. They are being discriminated, and so it's all negative.
I think that's where the shame is, so we don't discuss it, is society has made it a shameful thing. And everything about it, as we were growing up, whatever we heard about gays or homosexuality, it's always had negative reactions, and that it's a shameful thing, so nobody talked about it.
Well, in the Philippines, there is a sort of a gay culture, in the sense that there are certain professions where supposedly gay men dominate hairdressing or clothes design. They're supposed to be very excellent in those professions. And when I was growing up, there were even these fashion shows where transvestites would wear beautiful clothes, and this would show up in the newspapers. And in that sense, I knew about gay people, although I really associated it with dressing up, in these very elegant clothes. I didn't think about it as, having a different form of sexual orientation. I only saw the surface.
I was totally unaware. When I was in high school, I had two good friends, male friends, and they were so talented. I didn't even know, and we became very good friends. I always envious, gee, they're so talented, in music and in dance and everything. I didn't know anything about gay until, after we got married. I even tried to fix up one of my friends who's gay. I was really in Pollyanna land.
I certainly got a lot of negative reinforcements as an adult. Working in the field of corrections and prisons and youth detention facilities and that sort of thing, that you very quickly realize that homosexuality in prisons is a very difficult thing.
I think my first experience with homosexuality was when I was in the military service as a young man. A lot of derogatory comments were made from fellow servicemen, and it was thought it was to be cool to participate in these cutting comments, and that actually carried on into later life.
As for gay women, the word in Tagalog, in our dialect, is tomboy, which means, has connotations of being boyish, being athletic, dressing like a man, and so forth. And sometimes they would also point to these women and say, she's a tomboy, and so forth. And although I didn't myself have these negative feelings, probably because I didn't really know anybody.
I'm trying to remember when I first aware of it. Maybe Elton John, when he came out, he was a big hit when I was about 14 or 15, and he might be gay, on and on and on. That's about the first I ever even heard of it.
school in Virginia. And I was involved in women's sports where there were lesbians, but they weren't out. You know, like everybody knew our coach was a lesbian. She lived with a woman who, for the first year, I thought she was talking about her German Shepherd. After all that, you know, time of them not explicitly saying they were lesbians, then we would all like go, gee, I wonder if they're lesbians. And it would be mostly a lot of people saying, oh, that's disgusting or that's gross. So I felt like, oh, I'm going to lose my friends if I were out. Or maybe I'm not, or maybe I can, you know, it's like the price was too heavy to pay.
When I told my mother, it was definitely very scary because I didn't know how she'd react. And that's sort of known for a long time myself, but it was, you know, there was still the Chinese thing about, you know, the presumption or the pressure to get married and have children, and sort of lead a nice life, and, you know, sort of, so people could, you know, so your parents could show you off and talk about you're such a good student and going to the right school and have the right girlfriend and, you know, having the right children kind of thing. So I was a little bit worried about that, given the fact I was the only son. And even though I was younger, I think there was still that pressure.
I still felt in a way internally that being gay was somehow bad. And that I also knew that my brother, my younger brother, was gay. So I think the combination of knowing that both of us were gay and that would be a part of coming out to my family, or my parents at least, was, I think, related a little bit to being impacted by homophobia in the society. And secondly, I think it was really just looking at the type of, in a way, a burden that may create emotionally on my parents.
I wanted to make my parents happy, and I felt it was my responsibility to make them happy. And I think partly that comes from the fact that my parents had sacrificed so much for me. Both my parents have hardship stories in terms of their being immigrants. My father especially, he was orphaned here. And I think anytime there is a strong relationship in a family, or let's just say for myself, there was a strong relationship, a bond between my parents and myself, I think it's only natural. It was only natural for me to want to make them happy. So the one thing I knew was that if I came out, my parents would not be happy. My father would be very upset. Both my parents were looking forward to having grandchildren. I'm the oldest son. My father is also the oldest son in his family. So we share a responsibility in the family to have children. That wasn't so much it, but I did recognize that that this would be the one thing which would disappoint my father the most, would upset him the most, and could potentially ruin the rest of his life. And I felt that I had a responsibility not to tell him.
Sasha pretty much avoided talking to any of us for about 3 years.
Oh.
4 years.
At least
You'd
3
call
years.
and she wouldn't call back.
Yes. Right.
You'd call and if you managed somehow by calling at some bizarre hour to get a hold of her, she'd be very brusque on the phone and
Yes.
evasive and cut you off, and it was like pulling teeth to get her to come to dinner.
Because during the time that I knew nothing about her life, I had so many worries about her. I mean, I was afraid that what if she's on drugs? What if she is hanging around with people that I would disapprove of because, you know, they are not good people or people that might hurt her. And also the feeling that why is she not able to talk to me? Why can't she trust me with what's going on in her life? But at the same time, I didn't feel that I could push because after all, you know, she is an adult. She knows where I live. She knows that I always welcome her in my house.